Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Go Small, Go Now Sailing. Join me while I take my boat, Compass Rose, of Bayfield 29, on a solo sailing adventure here in Nova Scotia, taking on the elements and checking out all the beauty this province has to offer. Today we're going to get out, try and get down to St. Margaret's Bay today. Pretty light winds, but we should be able to make 5 knots and get down there before dark. If not, we'll just pull in somewhere else. The winds have been very light. We've only really been able to make like 3.3 to 2.7 knots out here. Been a bit of a change of plan because it's getting so late and we are still very light on the winds. I'm going to go through the Sambro Cut and we'll sail as long as we can, but if my speed drops below 2, then I'm just going to motor. So this is the gut. It's pretty narrow channel up through here, and you should stick right to the middle of it as you're going up and out. The lowest spot that I have seen in the times that I've gone up it are 8.3 feet at the low tide, and the current can be a couple of knots in here on the ebb and flow of the tide, but can be manageable to get through. So you just gotta be aware of that stuff when you're going through. Made it to the destination tonight, which is Glover's Cove in Terrence Bay here. It's a beautiful spot. You can never beat this one. You just gotta watch when you're coming in and stay straight to that channel right in the middle of it, and you'll be fine getting in here. So today is day 2 of the trip. We're going from Glover's Cove in Terrence Bay to Reedmond Cove in St. Margaret's Bay. Looks like the wind is building up and it's out of the south again, so should be able to get quite a bit of speed going today. Terrence Bay. There's some good wind today, and she'll be able to sail herself once the sails get trimmed and the wheels locked in. In the early season, you really have to watch out for the lobster pots because they are everywhere. So we've made it to St. Margaret's Bay. It's nice. Wind's still low, but we're still pulling off, 3.5, 4 knots. It's going to be about another half hour before we get to our destination for the night. But it's been a great sail today. I mean, you can't really go wrong. The seas have been really light, under a meter, so it was all good. Nice sail down here. This is what we woke up to, and this nice thick fog. Hopefully it'll burn off today, it's supposed to. But if it keeps this thick up, then we won't be able to move to our next anchorage without running the possibility of hitting the lobster pots. So we'll have to stay put if it stays this thick. But I mean, it's nice enough anchorage, super calm in here. So it isn't a problem if we do get stuck here. So our anchorage here is exposed to the southerly winds, and it looks like the winds are going to be picking up. But luckily there's another anchorage within eyesight of this one that is protected from these kinds of winds. And then tomorrow we head back to Halifax, because Sunday is looking like that there's going to be a lot of bad weather coming. So got moved around to our new anchorage, and as we were doing that, the fog has started to really move in here, so I guess it was a good time to get moved over. But it's nice and calm in this part of the anchorage, and I'll show you where that was. I just moved across from one corner over onto the island. Should be much more protected. That'll be good for tonight, and then tomorrow we leave. Time to get the boat ready and head back to Halifax. It looks like the fog's all lifted off. We're supposed to get some strong winds today, possibly some rain, but it's going to be a good day if we get those winds offshore today. It'll rocket me home. The reason I didn't get too many shots of the way back from St. Margaret's Bay is the weather that was out there was not the weather that ended up being forecasted. I was expecting some pretty low seas, maybe 2 meters. Nothing was really forecasted, but what happened when I got out there was that the seas built, 2.5 to 3 to 4 to 5. They were at 5 meters swells for the majority of the trip back until I got out over deeper water, and then the swells kind of fell to about 3 to 4 meters. Which are still pretty big when you don't have enough wind to really hold your sails open. And I didn't have enough wind until about midway back through the trip, right out from Terrence Bay. And then once I did have that wind, I did put my sails up, because it is better to have your sails up in those conditions than be motoring, because you have a little bit extra control and you can actually ride the waves a bit better when you're under your sail power versus under motor. The bonus of the trip back that day was that I ended up seeing 2 whales' butts going into the waves, so that was pretty cool. But it was pretty bad conditions out there, and you can really see this when one of the last shots I got is of the sisters out in the Halifax approaches. They're just like shoals right underneath the water, and the waves were just crashing and breaking all over them, and it was pretty spectacular to see. I made it back safe, and once in the harbor, the swell just died right out again. yeah, so I gotta really, it's another one to really focus on your weather forecasting before you depart on your trip, and sometimes you got to make that hard call to not go out there. This probably should have been one of those times that I did, but I was already so far out that so it was safer for me to continue on than it was to try and turn around in those swells. But yeah, that's all for this trip. We'll see you on the next one.